watching the 2025 SCAC Tennis Media Days. Today, we're taking a look at the Colorado College men's and women's tennis programs. The Tigers will once again be led as they head into the season. The guides head coach Anthony Weber, along with leadership from senior Aiden Little on the men's side and junior Lindsay Popeo on the women's side. And Coach Aiden, Lindsay, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Coach, we'll open up with you heading into this season. Obviously, every year is exciting at the start of a new season and getting to know these two programs. I'm interested just where you've seen the biggest growths with these two groups over these last couple of years. From 30,000 feet, it's easy for me to kind of see the steps that these programs have taken. But for you, where have you seen the biggest growths? And how do your expectations compare this year to maybe years past coming into the season?
Yeah, I would say the expectations are much higher than they've been in years past. And I've been here 13, 14 years at this point, and these are two of the most talented teams that we have. I'd say the biggest difference in both programs is the depth. I mean, 1 through 13 on the men's side, 1 through 10 on the women's side, like it's vastly different than it was when I was here, even 10, even 5 years ago at this point, that we competed at a high level all through six. And then the kids who are traveling, the kids who are below them, they're pushing everybody ahead of them in practices and just helps everybody else get better throughout your lineup.
Aiden, coming into this semester, I know it's a big semester for you, obviously in your senior year. How would you describe this team's energy coming into this championship semester? How is the group kind of coming together with its chemistry, and what's motivating this team coming into this year?
Yeah, I think every year I say this is the best group we've ever had. I always mean it. Just our underclassmen have been unbelievably hardworking. Everybody really wants to win, really wants to compete. I mean, the energy has been so high, so great, just across, like Coach said, across the entire lineup, every spot. And so it's just, I mean, spirits are really high. Everybody's really excited to kind of get into this bulk of the season, and we're ready to compete and try to make a run.
Lindsay, coming into your junior season, I'm interested how you've seen your game evolve over these first couple of years at the collegiate level. I'm sure those first few years just trying to be the best tennis player you can be. And now coming into this junior season, how have you seen that evolution in your game? And how would you kind of describe what's continuing to motivate you individually and continue to grow your confidence to get better coming into this year?
I think going into my third year playing college tennis with both a supportive coaching staff and my entire team has really taught me to hit through my shots and be confident in myself because I'm playing with a purpose. And now this is the third year doing that. So I hope that I personally can just continue being confident in myself and finally embracing my leftiness.
Coach, coming into this season, shifting back to what we were a number of years ago with the doubles point, going back to just the one doubles point as opposed to the three individual doubles point coming out of those doubles matchups. I'm interested in how that at all has sort of shifted your mindset, the group's mindset, the philosophy going into those doubles, and what adjustments are you making with that adjustment going into the season?
Yeah, I'd say as a program, we were pretty happy with that change. We've struggled with doubles over the years. Some of it is like an environmental issue is when we're playing at 6,000 feet, we have quick hands, but we don't volley through the court. We don't stick volleys as well. We don't put balls away as well. And that just means another ball comes back. And in doubles, if you make a mistake on 1 point and it's set to 6 and it's no ad and you don't have the lets, like you make one mistake like that and it's done and it's gone. So I would say we're pretty happy. We went through a few matches last year that were big matches for us that we dug 0-3 holes. Did it at Santa Cruz with both genders, lost tight matches at Santa Cruz after a long week down there. So we're kind of happy with the change. I love doubles personally, but I think it was a disadvantage for us as a program here in Colorado. And the changes we've made is we've definitely stressed a lot more decision making, obviously a little bit more singles point play in the decisions that are there. Just knowing that doubles doesn't influence the impact of it doesn't impact the match nearly as much any longer.
Aiden, Coach has talked about the growth of both of these programs, the depth that continues to be built, and you've really been a big part of that growth and of this program's success in these last couple of years, playing in some big-time matches and some big-time moments. So I'm interested in what you've learned on how you handle those pressure situations. What have you found works well for you to kind of settle into those big moments? And as one of the senior leaders, how can you kind of pass along some of the tips that you've learned, the tricks that you've learned over the years to sort of help maybe some of the younger athletes who haven't been in those moments as much when they experience that coming into the year?
Yeah, I think just tennis in general is kind of built for pressure. serving for matches or, big returns, big moments, especially in doubles, you have somebody else relying on you. I think even playing a ton in juniors and like through college or like my college career, I mean, just you deal with so many different pressure situations all the time. It's just a part of the game. And then just growing through that in college, I mean, coming in, I didn't handle pressure as well. And I mean, it would show on the court. You never wanted to let your team down, but you kind of learn that, those are the times to really lock in and buckle down and, just keep fighting. And a lot of it you can't control, but you just gotta do what you can to control what you can, and then just keep fighting in the match. And that's really what, I think some of the freshmen coming in and some of the underclassmen, like I think college will really help them out with that. We have a couple of guys who are, they fight really hard, they compete really hard, but they get frustrated. And kind of a part of the game is taking the time between points and going back and really resetting. And, we're just trying to emphasize that for those guys a little bit.
Now, Lindsay, as one of the leaders on your team, how would you describe this team's dynamic, and how do you and your teammates continue to sort of push each other to continue to grow and get better each and every day?
As we said, this program is definitely the strongest program that we've had yet, but it's also really young. We have 5 new girls on our team out of a 9-person lineup, and they just bring such an exciting energy. They're so fun. They're so competitive. This has definitely been my favorite year on the team dynamic wise. I think that we know how to have fun, but we also really know how to buckle down and be competitive both externally and with each other and really pushing ourselves. We have our first D3 matches on the road this week. So I'm excited to see how our team will rise to the occasion for that.
Coach, what do you want fans to know about these two programs? You obviously have a unique perspective being with these groups day in and day out at practices, being on those van rides, being on those trips to away matches, and, all that comes with those travel experiences. So as you've gotten to know these two teams, what do you want fans to know about these groups, and what are some strengths that, supporters of these two programs can be excited about as they head down this championship run?
Yeah, I would say what you do when no one's watching kind of talks to your character as a program. And, I know there's some coaches in athletics here that they were like, we're 6 weeks into our season. They're like, Anthony, have you guys started season yet? And it's because we've probably practiced on campus outside maybe 6 or 7 times so far in about 2 months. So these guys, they've done a wonderful job as captains, leaders, to make sure we are ready to go at 7 o'clock at night when we're starting late practices. The guys have been in from 9 to 11 at night and then bounce back for class the next morning. They have to check a lot of boxes. They have to be super accountable and on top of these kind of things. And like both of them said, we have some young players who are going to influence the lineup. And they've done a wonderful job kind of handling some of that adversity already this season. On the flip side, we just had Parents Weekend a few weeks ago, and I told this story to the parents is, while we've kind of had that and, we've had to deal with some of those situations already and some less ideal practice situations, they work hard, but they crack me up too. We have freshmen on the girls' side, Lucia hits a crazy forehand and she starts gritting down the sideline and stuff like that. And we have Sammy D on the men's side as a freshman who, tells people to calm down, bro, and stuff like that, when even in practice when Aiden hits a great shot. And so I would say that aspect, they are entertaining, they work their butts off, and I love coming to work every day with this group of kids. It's probably the tightest maybe between genders. Truly, I think they care about each other. And that's one of the beauties of doing both genders personally, is seeing that development between them as the team, between the men's team and the women's team, and then coming together. And yeah, like Lindsay said, we're on the road for a bunch of matches this week, and we're going to need each other's support. And I believe that they're going to do that.
Finally, as we wrap up with our 2 student athletes, it's exciting just to hear both of you talk about kind of the dynamics of the group, the excitement of the season, and kind of looking forward to making these big pushes down this championship stretch of the year. So, when you've had conversations with some of the leaders and captains within your group about some of those goals and expectations looking forward to the rest of the year, what have those conversations looked like? And ultimately, what do you both see as being key for these teams in order to accomplishing those things heading out to the rest of the season?
Yeah. I feel like every year I've been here, we've kind of been knocking on the door of getting nationally ranked. And I think that's something we talk about as leaders on the team and throughout the whole team. It's a big motivation for us. And we have, some good matches coming up soon that'll kind of help us out there. And then coming into the SCAC tournament, I mean, we finished third every year I've been here, and like we keep saying, this is kind of the best groups that we have, and this is, my last final push. So I'm going to try to get everybody motivated, and everybody's going to be really excited for that to, try to make a deep run there.
I agree with Aiden. Our team has definitely had conversations about a potential national ranking. We hope to get second in the conference this year. That's our biggest goal. We've been talking about it as a team a lot, and I think that's what we're overall working towards. But I would say that a majority of our matches, at least on the women's side, are coin flips this year. And in our meeting at the beginning of the year, we really hope to win a majority, if not all 75%, most of those coin flips.
And finally, Coach, wrapping up with you, it's fun to hear that these two leaders in your programs just talk about their excitement and the goals and expectations they have for their groups going into the rest of the year. So what's kind of been your message to sort of, help support these students and the goals and aspirations they have, and sort of set up sort of that foundation, things that you're kind of, hoping that they can kind of focus on to make sure they're as ready as they possibly can throughout the rest of the stretch of the season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we started off, we did a lot of kind of work on a little bit more like visualization, mental toughness, kind of visualizing hopefully these bigger moments that are coming down the road for both programs. So trying to set ourselves up and see ourselves in those situations that we haven't quite been to before, or that we may not have performed it at our highest level. And we're hoping to just keep pushing that level up. Both programs kind of young, but we're also stressing just like managing your own court and being your own boss on that court and manage that situation. That's kind of what Aiden kind of alluded to a few questions back, is that take your time. We drop a few points, make sure regroup, gather, use the time that you have allotted in between points and the changeovers, and manage every aspect of that match that you can, because you just never know what it's going to come down to in a 3-3 match, and you're on the court for the win to go 4-3 in a big match. So we've been stressing that a lot, quite a bit here lately.
Colorado College head men's and women's tennis coach Anthony Weber, along with leadership from senior Aiden Little on the men's side and junior Lindsay Popeo on the women's side. Coach Weber and the Tigers will return to action when they take on Marist on March 13th. Coach Aiden, Lindsay, thanks so much for your time today, and best of luck as you march forward throughout the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Russell. Appreciate you.